to share, I got a really fun announcement actually, and I wanted to thank everybody as a part of it for this announcement. But first, let me just make sure everything's set up here, um, and then we will share the announcement too. Now, get this. Okay. So the kind of announcement that I wanted to share is for 3 of our books. We have self-care routine. We have the 2 printed, the 28-day reset, and then we also have the LF slow cooker recipe pack, and then we also have our barbecue cookbook. I wanted to share and thank everybody so far because our 28-day resets in the top 100 in its category, the slow cookers in the top 30, about to be in the top 20, and our barbecue is actually number 3 in 2 different categories. So, and that's for the Kindle editions, the ones we're giving away free until tomorrow. So I just want to thank you guys and also share, like, kind of now seeing the response. I'm going to make a push for today and tomorrow to go for the number 1 spot for all 3 of our Kindle edition books. So I just wanted to, again, say you guys will have free access to it. And I wanted to thank you guys for doing that. And now we're going to get into the self-care routine. We're going to break it down in layers. The first part is I'm going to go through a foam rolling routine. Actually, I lied. The first part is really I'm going to heat up the tissue. So I like to genuinely think about how do we approach our stretching and our self-care. So first we want to warm the tissue. Okay. Then we're going to actually like move the tissue through a certain amount of range of motion and then use some soft or some fascia. So the first thing I'm going to do is bust out. I have 2 different massagers and I also got like a bunch of different like self-care recovery things. Because when I think about self-care, it's not just like I have some snacks here, our legendary protein cinnamon rolls, which is a great like snack. And again, if you have certain cravings, we also have some like what I feel are delicious, relatively solid ingredients pops. And the point of doing this is like we can do with self-care, you can reward yourself for things too. And we'll go over. I got a bunch of stuff behind me. So the first thing we're going to get into, I have 2 different massage guns we're going to compare, but I'm going to start with the Renpho because the thing I like about the Renpho massage gun is the heated component of it. And it's kind of like a unique one because it has 4 different attachment heads instead of what I've seen anywhere from 6 to 12 on other ones. But see how it slides on? What I'll do is I'll compare that to the Yura style, which is usually you just like kind of a press and go style, where you just slide it in and it's ready to go. And again, the other comparison point I'll highlight between the 2 of these is the Yura will have 30 different levels of intensity, while the Renpho has 4. But the difference is the Renpho one has a heated component. So I can kick it up to the 4th and I can double tap it. And now the heat's on. See that little red button? That means the heat is on. So what I'm going to start with is going to some more of the key spots. Like we talk about back. So I'm going to start with my lower back first. And I'm going to keep it on for about 30 seconds. So I'm watching the clock right now. And I'll turn to the side so y'all can actually see kind of how I'm utilizing this. And what we can pair it with is if you're doing this as a dynamic kind of an option to warm up for, let's say, exercise, and it's not necessarily a self-care, you can potentially go into a dynamic movement where you'll hinge forward and come back up. But for now, it's more of, again, kind of a static. I'm like, at the end of the day, I'm not doing any exercise. I did my martial arts training before. I was live on TikTok. Yeah, wherever you guys are watching this, make sure you're subscribing, following, because I'm going to be putting out, especially seeing the positive feedback we had over the last like week or so with not only Black Friday to Cyber Monday, but just this time of year, getting a really good feedback. So I want to be able to just keep up the momentum with live streams and rolling out a lot more content. Oh, this feels so good. So even though there's 4 layers instead of 30 like on this one, the actual intensity is quite strong, especially for this size. And with the heating component, it's actually warming up the tissue. So I kind of went to the lower back. That's a hot spot I feel like a lot of us can face. The other part I've been experiencing and focusing on a lot is my chest and shoulder area because of some rotator cuff stuff. So I just kind of like will glide through. Oh, that feels so good. And again, you don't have to necessarily, what I will say is like, this isn't medical advice, talk to a doctor, PT, whatever. But in general, being able to feel your body and feel what feels good within a healthy degree, like meaning what I'm doing right now is technically it's called nerve flossing. So we're kind of but you can start to intuitively feel your body. Now I'm going to switch out. This is my rotator cuff damaged side where I have some injuries I'm dealing with. So I'm trying to get my pec minor, but I'm also trying to get into the rotator cuff tissue that's kind of going underneath in the armpit. And again, the cool while I have layers on, I'm trying to get my body temperature up. I really enjoy the heated component to the Renfo. This is the thermal massage gun compared to, again, just a traditional massage gun. So I wanted to cross compare. We're also going to do, though, is I'm going to show you guys a kind of fun integration. So the couple of other tools I have behind me. This is, again, part of how I approach my neck, back, and mobility routines and self-care. And I actually have an entire PDF on this. So wherever you're watching this, I set some goals, right? So if you guys interact, if you're either gifting, if you're liking, you're commenting, you're sharing this, what I'm going to do is at the end, you guys can DM me and I'll give you the actual PDF of this mobility routine. I have a 20-minute foam roller friendly mobility routine that I will just send you guys. I actually reserve it specifically for my clients, but I wanted to do something fun as a gratitude, especially with seeing the positive response we got from our Kindle edition books. All three of them, again, being an A in the top 100, super exciting. I've gotten the 28-day reset in the top 10 before, so that's like not necessarily new, but the slow cooker has not been in the top 50 before, or even the top 20, now being in the top 30. And honestly, our bar one I was most excited to see because now it's number 3 in 2 different categories. We got also one of the other things I will say with self-care is having things like even tea and routine and being able to have a station for it, but even having certain cups, like this is like one of the cups I like to use specifically for tea, especially on a nice hot day. You can use it espresso, all that good stuff. But these are the types of things I like to invite, think about, and pay attention to. So the next thing we're going to go into is now we got the tissue kind of a little bit warm. Now what I want to do is I want to lengthen out a couple things, but I'm going to show you a strategy here with a weighted kettlebell. You can use a dumbbell, but I've talked about this in another video and I just wanted to build upon it. So what we're going to do is I'm actually going to use the kettlebell to help get a little bit more of an activation or a prompt in my hamstring and quads so that I can get a little bit more range of motion. So I'm kind of holding it down. Now, if you can see, I'm doing a pretty good job already. Oh, hey, what's up, Dina? Of being able to activate my quads and being able to get my hamstring to lengthen. But if you, let's say I was having a hard time and my knee was kind of like tight, my hamstrings were feeling it and my quads weren't really activating, we can use this weight to help facilitate activation of the quad and lengthening of the hamstring. So we can do reciprocal inhibition is the fancy way of what it's called. So this can just help facilitate that. So I'm going to kind of do it on both sides just to like get a little bit more, but it's just being able to have this anchor point is kind of nice. Again, you don't have to go crazy with the weight, but this is a kind of a cool way I like to apply this tool. To me, there's another version of like self-care and being able to have that. Now, what I feel is I tend to feel is because I have a labrum tear on my left side, I can kind of feel that hip kind of acting up a little bit. So what I'm going to do is, and again, this is just for me knowing my body and having like decades at this point of experience. Begin to a kneeling hip flexor stretch. I'm going to use my other massage gun, not go super heavy, level 10 out of 30, and just get it right into my hip flexor, closer to the actual capsule. And it's just going to alleviate a little bit of discomfort because we have something called Golgi tendon apparatus or apparati, if we want to say plural, that really are predominantly focused at the insertion of the muscle. You understand the beginning and the end of the muscle. You can go with the belly of the muscle, but that's just for superficial things that you really actually won't get the actual tendons, the tissue, the fascia to release. From my understanding, it's something I have to have a deep conversation with a physical therapist. And what I do on one side, I do on the other, just for balance. And what this does is for 30 seconds or more, stimulating that Golgi tendon apparatus will let the actual fascia release a little bit more. So we'll get more range of motion and get a little bit more static stretch. Right, Carrie? Carrie knows. Talking to Carrie over there while she's eating chips and hanging with Hope Bear. Yeah, slow cooker. See, that's where we got the slow cooker on me. All right, so that's just getting a little bit from the hip flexor. Now we'll go actually into the foam roller, which is, again, another super powerful tool here. And what I'm going to do is a bonus. This traction behind me is like the bonus we're going to do at the end. Hope Bear knows. She's pumped. So this routine we're doing is actually part of my entire mobility PDF. So I'm going to start with my lower back. We could technically start at the calves. Depending on the person, we can prompt it differently. And again, if you guys do have questions, let me know in the comments. I'll keep the comments kind of pulled up. The only thing I can't see is the comments on TikTok. So maybe Carrie will help me with managing the content on TikTok as I kind of pull up my notifications. Let's see if any messages or anything comes up there. I'll usually be able to see it here. Let's see. Questions. So we're going to kind of, again, for 30 seconds, and this is a little bit different. So for dynamic reasons, we would actively go through, but this is more static. Again, this is a kind of recovery self-care. So I'm actually going to just hold it for 15 to 30 seconds. And I'm going to get my timer going here so I can track a little bit more of the mobility side. So there we go. And while I'm going through this, I'm just going to talk to you guys, kind of explain what we're going through and why I see the benefit. Hey, what's going on? Thanks for saying hey on YouTube. I'll give you a shout out real quick. I always like to highlight. Thank you for the hey. And if you, again, have questions, anything like that, let me know. Happy to speak to it. Or you just want like to talk about different things. Now, again, after about 15 to 30 seconds, I'm going to move it up about 3 to 6 inches. Okay. So this is a little bit of a longer foam roller. Sometimes what I find beneficial about the longer foam roller is we can actually align it vertically on our spine and stack things. And I'll kind of go through that from a technique I actually got from a great massage therapist. I think I've told you this before, Carrie, but I don't know if for those of you, this is somewhat name dropping, but I think it's a fun story. I won't say the massage therapist, and I won't say, like a celebrity massage therapist. I won't say the celebrity either that they work with or other celebrities they work with, but I will say this, like we were joking one day, and the point I'm bringing this up is he actually gave me an exercise to do that I'm going to show you guys during this stream. And I was just thinking about him, and we'll get to that. But the story goes, this is what, according to him and his wife, now that he kind of looks like a troll. He's a wrestler. He's a D1 wrestler, and he has a hunchback. He's like, yeah, I'm like a 5'4" hunchback troll. Like, and he never thought, he's like, never in my life did I think I'd be getting paid to massage this person's body that I'm getting paid to do. Like, and just to give you a hint, I'm trying to think of like a way to say it without saying it, like who it could be. I don't want to like say the person's name, but yeah, I like being paid to just be able to massage this type of like celebrity. I think is just a really kind of interesting like opportunity. And to me, it's a reflection of the quality of the massage therapist. All right, so we're going to work our way up. And again, if you guys are following along at home and you have questions, let me know. And I'm going to try and walk us through. Name a car for a edit. Ooh, okay. Hold on. I'm going to post that up. So hold on. Let me make sure I'm hearing you right. Name a car for an edit. So you're saying car is in a controlled articular rotation, like a movement? Or are you talking about a car to like actually edit and play with in your own videos? Like I need a little bit more context to that. Because CAR can be an acronym that stands for controlled articular rotations, which is like an exercise or a mobility-based warm-up potential movement, or you may be talking about a car for an edit like in your own video. But if I were to think of a car, let's see. I think my favorite car as a kid, or like a dream car of mine, let's see. Motorized vehicle. Got it. Yeah, I got you. Okay. So my probably favorite was, when I was a kid, a Lamborghini Diablo. So, but I'll also say, if you want to, I also love the Porsche 911. That's an awesome car. And a friend of mine is really into Porsche as well. And he has a Porsche. So, and I've been able to actually ride in that car, not his, but in his as well, but also in, long story, a ex-girlfriend's dad had a Porsche 911 that took me for a ride. But I love that car. It's such a great car. So now, again, we're working our way up. Okay. Just not do it on... Okay, just not doing on 911s and Ferraris. Please don't. Looks tacky AF. Great choice. Yeah, okay. Wait, don't do what on 911s and Ferraris? What looks tacky? You mean the edits? Are you saying, okay, I'm sorry, I'm reading like two different people. They're talking about Todoro. That's a great call. But yeah, I would say Lamborghini Diablo. Now we're working our way up to the neck. Okay, so we've already pretty much hit the upper portion of our posterior chain, and now we're just kind of relaxing. Okay. And again, look at the time this take, maybe 5-10 minutes so far. And if you can make this a routine for yourself, it's a great way, again, with the self-care component of it, but also being able to take care of your body. And the thing I think about with self-care is not just the physical self-care, the mental self-care. There's certain activities and rewards and things I have around me that we'll talk about that could either be from like shaving and using certain powders and lotions and skincare that can really just, again, be rewards that are helpful for positive reinforcement, but also part of routines that help you get your mindset and charge you kind of up. Okay, so now we're going to work down to our glutes. So I'm going to bring this foam roller down because the piriformis and the glutes are ones that can potentially get left behind. So what I'm going to do is I'm sitting on my left glute and piriformis. I'm taking my left ankle, putting it on my knee. Misha, the dog, is going to come hang out apparently for a minute. And this one, I'm going to just kind of move up and down until I find a really tender spot. Again, I try and think about these ideas of where does the muscle start, where does it end, stay on those areas. It'll help release the tissue as best you can. But if you want to just do it for what feels good, that's okay in the beginning. And take another 5, 4, 3, 2, and now we're going to go to the opposite side. I'm going to the opposite side, piriformis and glute. Oh, that's so good. Oh yeah, and breathing too, because I'm talking and everything, but Carrie, as the yogi master over here, is going to invite us to slow our breathing down. And in general, especially with stretching, that is a really helpful prompt and cue, not only for stretching and getting in touch with your body, but also from a transition of our fight or flight system. Like I can get my fight or flight system stimulated just from doing live streams because I really enjoy it and get excited. But being able to then do either box breathing or doing 4-7-8 breathing, or however long we inhale, we exhale twice as long. All of these things will do the similar thing of transitioning from fight or flight into rest and digest. So and the minimum effective dose I've seen is 30 seconds, and getting buy-in all the way up to 2 minutes even can be really effective. So here's another thing I was talking about before with activating the quads, lengthening out the hamstrings. Another way I like to do that is with the foam roller. So I have the foam roller right behind my knees, okay? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to breathe in and then out. And then as I go through my next breath cycle, what I'm going to do is I'm going to inhale. And then as I exhale, I'm going to activate my quads and extend and stretch my hamstrings. So now notice my toes are coming up because I'm firing up my quads. My calves are coming off the ground. I'm getting a nice length to my hamstrings. My quads are firing. The only thing I feel is my hip flexor is firing up a little bit because of the hip flexor and also some of my labrum stuff. And that's where I notice some even muscular imbalances and things I can work on, where getting my glutes to fire more and lengthening out the hip flexors to help with that. So we'll do another one. One more. Now we'll go down to the calves here a little bit, just getting a little bit more. And then what I'm going to do is I'm ultimately going to flip around, get into my quads as well. And we'll go through some positioning, and that's pretty much going to do it from the foam roller side. And then I'll get into how we can leverage some of the bands, for example, and some of the other self-care items behind me. And again, I can make this a whole 45-minute thing, but I want to make it accessible for everybody. So 15, 20 minutes max, even 5 minutes, we can chop this up into different parts. And what I will do is, as I'm going over and flipping it onto my quads, before I do that, I'm actually going to stay on the backside. And I was talking about this exercise that I was shown from a massage therapist that works with a lot of celebrities, and it's just really high-end and great quality person. So I'm going to align this foam roller basically from my tailbone to my head. And the reason I like the long versions of the foam roller is because it allows support so that now my head all the way down to my hips supported here. And what we're going to do is we're going to reach our hands up. I'm going to inhale, and then as I exhale, I'm going to let my arms collapse at this side and just let it relax. And this does a few things. It's actually being able to hit the scapula or the muscles between the scapula, the shoulder blades, and being able to give them some attention, some love, opening up the chest, taking some tension out of there. Being able to also give a nice little prompt, because a lot of times I use a lot of my neck flexor muscles. My head's positioned forward. So being able to get it to come back and to relax becomes really helpful. Do one more breath here. And again, before we get onto the quads, what I actually wanted to do is this is where I'll actually show I have some kinesio tape. And I actually used this before. The cool thing about this one is it's already got pre-cut lengths. So watch what I was able to do. Because I have some soreness yesterday from doing a workout. So I put some on my lower back, and I even got some up here on my lat muscles. The reason I highlight that is why I want to spend a little bit of extra time going over my lats and my back muscles. So I'm going to actually basically just put the foam roller pretty much right in my armpit. Oh, that feels so good. Because again, that's another area where our lat muscles, the latimus dorsi, they start around our spine actually, and then they insert onto our humerus or our arm bone. So they're going to pass through the armpit. So not only are we getting the lat, we're also getting a lot of the rotator cuff muscles and some of the other attachments revolving around rotator cuff and moving our arm. So I'm going to hang out here for another about 10 seconds, slowing the breathing down. Now we do the same thing on the opposite side. So again, my opposite side is where I have a little bit more of the rotator cuff issue. So, oh yeah, I'm going to be mindful and gentle. Oh, it feels so good.
Can you see her?
Oh yeah, I can. So what's funny is Hope is awake right now, y'all. So we just have Hope today. Our other daughters are at their respective co-parents' house, and Hope's just hanging out. And I've been able to hang out with her all day, and she's just like digging. I have a self-care box that has like my leg compression. So speaking of which, while I'm stretching here, I have these leg compressions devices that are just clutch, especially after like long jujitsu days or running sessions or leg sessions. These are pretty awesome, where you can attach it again onto your leg. I'll just do that. So I'm going to slowly come up here. You basically would just slide this on. Then I have two versions. I have the attached version, which will also get the quad. So you basically, it goes all the way up, right? Get the quad. Even goes by the knee. The good thing they're mindful of is they're not putting too much pressure on the knee joint itself. And then I have my calves and my ankle as well. So you can see here, this would go, and I'd have both sides, and then they basically plug into the remote, which I already have one plugged in. So you can kind of see they would just plug in, and you just be able to power it on. It has heat. It has different intensity controls, different modes you can put it on. This is another really like clutch device that I'm going to get into, that if we have time, I can even demonstrate, but I wanted to just highlight. This is another thing that you can do. And even if you don't want to do active stuff like foam rolling or any of that, even the stretching, just putting on like leg compression and just sitting in a chair is pretty nice. Oh, what's up, Luke? Hey. Thanks for dropping by, saying hey. And these are the kind of things that I think about. Again, when it comes to self-care, there's also great gift giving ideas, because then when every time the person, TikTok, you see that Hope Bear is trying to mess with y'all. Every time you use it, or every time I think about it as like as a gift, like when they use it, they're going to think of the person that gave it to them. At least I know I do. When I get something and I use it, I think of the person that gave it to me. So I think that's a cool thing. I'm going to be gift giving an idea. But so we got, again, posterior chain, kind of got the lats. The only thing we're missing that I wanted to go over that I have in our mobility and foam rolling routine is our quads. And there's two ways you can go about it. One is doing individual legs. The second is to do them together. I'm going to do them together. And the reason I highlight this is the point is when you do them together, you're distributing your weight a little bit more. So we're going to go a little bit higher. What I like to do is I like to curl my hamstrings. When you curl your hamstrings, again, it lengthens out the quad. So you get an even more effective stretch and prompt from my understanding of the physiology. And then we can hang out here for another couple seconds and move a couple things around. And then we can slide all the way down to the end point, or what would be our insertion point. So the first one was the origin point. Now we're at the insertion point. Oh, feels so good. And again, it's tempting. People want to just go right into the belly, but I'll be honest with you, while that feels good, it tends to, from my understanding of the physiology, it does less actually for your range of motion. It can just feel good. And if you want to do that, great. But if you want to have an effective use of your time, use the origin and insertion points of the muscle, the end and the beginning points of the muscle. That'll be where it's really impactful. What is the pink thing behind you? Ooh, good question, Luke. So that is our KT tape. So the kinesiology tape, as it were, is where we like kind of put on our body. So you can kind of see it here. Using it for different, like I have some sore muscles. I like to use it with a PT or with my massage therapist or my doctor, and they'll kind of do it to match the musculature to take a little bit of like for me, the way I use it, from where I understand it, you can use it for performance, but I've seen less like research back now. Where I use it is just for the initial superficial pain relief of like just feeling a little support. It just literally just takes my brain and thinks about what's on the skin versus the tissue and the discomfort there. And that's what I like about it personally. But there can be some other applications for like performance reasons, for again, just being able to like functionally work through a certain amount of range of motion. But I've seen less, honestly, on supporting that. Okay, so we talked about our KT tape. Now I kind of want to go into some other self-care things. But I got our foam roller. The one thing I want to talk about with our bands even. So the other aspect I like with the bands is not only for our resistance, our workouts, the other cool thing that you can leverage bands for, whether you want to use starting at our base 8 to 15 pound, or you want to kind of kick it up to our 50 pound, is you can wrap it around, let's say, the muscle and use it as part of your stretch. So you can, and the thing about this, again, it's a variable resistance. So you can kind of have it stretch a little bit more, give a little bit more feedback, and just getting some length to the tissue. This just feels really good. And again, you could use a towel, even you use all these things, but I just like to show the versatility of our bands. And this is one of the biggest reasons why I actually wanted to put our brand, my logo, my company on a set of bands and manufacture them and work with them and create a package around them and a whole training system, because of the versatility and the value that they provide. So not only for resistance training, but for mobility training, for recovery, for self-care.
They make good swings for little kids.
They also make an amazing play set for kids. Also, you know, maybe you may not feel comfortable, but I'm very confident in the bands. Like I know what they're made out of. I literally work with the companies that manufacture them. So I'm confident in our 120-pound band holding my kids. I let them literally bounce on them like it's a bungee, as it were. So again, using the right graded one. So anyways, that's another use of where the self-care component of the bands can fit into play. And then we can also even do from a mobility standpoint. One of the things I like to highlight for shoulder mobility, you can use like a PVC pipe or a stick or a fixed object, but especially when you're working shoulder mobility, the downside when you do that is when you get to a point where your shoulders can't go anymore, you will be stuck. But with the bands, you can pull some of the slack out and actually be able to get more range of motion. So we're actually helping lubricate the joint itself and getting more range of motion out of it. So that's like another piece where I really enjoy these. And there's a lot of versatility of not only shoulder dislocates, which is what that movement's called, being able to do what we call around the worlds and vice versa, being able to do band pull aparts for a different type of activation and resistance training. But there's a lot of cool, even adding resistance to other pieces of equipment. Or again, being able to have your kids play with it. So one of the other pieces that I wanted to highlight is, especially because of where this kind of lat discomfort's position on my body. If let's say you have a particular muscle you can't get to and you don't necessarily have a foam roller, or the foam roller is just too big, this kind of cane has some fixed ball points that allow you to get into a more specific area. Like, oh yeah, I can like hook right onto, oh yeah, like right into where the different parts of my lat are feeling it. Oh, and I can apply as much or as little pressure as I want to. And this becomes really helpful. The other cool thing is, again, because the different sizing and positioning aspects of it, the bigger hook getting into the bigger parts of the back, the smaller ones, or even the more fine point, I can get right into my pec, where I can get right into my thigh. Again, it's super friendly across the board. And then when you actually first buy the cane, it actually does have like a piece of paper with visual demonstrations. I've just used it enough that like I feel confident in how I can apply it and the different areas of getting into even like, oh yeah, like some of the serratus anterior, like even some of my upper rotator cuff muscles, like the different ways to apply it. And if you do feel intimidated, oh, like getting into my trap right there, I can make even a full series on this. But being able to find like the bigger hook's going to be better for getting into your back muscles, your lat muscles especially. The smaller two are going to be better for your traps, your pecs, the smaller muscles. So they're going to kind of be related to that size. And then even this little like nodule right here on the flat side, I find that really helpful for the pec, for even longer tissue on the quad, getting into it there, or even if we want to get into our calf. My also middle daughter likes to use it as an actual cane. She'll like put her foot in this part and walk around with it, which I think is hilarious. But what she is tapping into is actually you can use this nodule and actually put it into the arc of your foot and get some really good soft tissue and fascia work here, which is like most people forget about their feet. Don't forget about your feet, y'all. This is where it's at. And again, whether you're an athlete or someone just getting into fitness, your feet are going to be related to pretty much everything you do. Like when you first get out of bed in the morning, guess what? You get on your feet, right? And being able to be mindful of them, like you can hold a lot of tension. You can have compensation patterns in there. There's another like version of the self-care and aspects to that routine that I think become really important. So that's like another tool that I wanted to highlight. We're slowly making our way through. Okay, so I got our massage guns. We got the Renfo. Talked about that. Talked about the Aura. And then the cool thing is, again, look how simple it is to just take it out, put it back. close it up. Okay, which is pretty sweet. Now what I wanted to go into is another action massager, but this one's specific to, I don't want to even say the neck, because you can actually use this on your neck, your back, your legs. I've used it for all the above, but it's really kind of eye associated to the back. Now what I like to do is not have a lot of layers in between. So I'm going to pull my hoodie up here just so I don't get in the way, and check out the use of this. The positioning is friendly for your neck. They also have this simple controller right here where you turn it on. You have your different levels. I would say start for 1 to 2, especially in your first. The other slick thing is, check this out. They have positioning for your arms. So you can just kind of loop your arms through and just relax. So now I can just kind of chill here while I'm talking to you guys. So not only am I going to get a nice neck massage, and the cool thing about this is it also has an automatic shut off timer. I believe it's 15 minutes and maybe 20. I have to double check, but it will automatically shut off on its own at a certain point, which is a helpful thing if you happen to like fall asleep or be in a position for it. The other thing I wanted to talk about is this is where I'm going to come back to. Like, all this, by the way, is in our 28-day reset. We have a meal plan. We have stretching routines. We have workout routines. We have our shopping list. Oh, look, Lena wrote favorite dad. Oh, and then Lena drew me and her and a heart around me. Oh, that's really sweet, Lena. So your kids can draw for you. So the point is, if you guys haven't already, the Kindle editions are free for our 28-day reset, the LOF slow cooker, and our barbecue set. And if you buy the printed ones, when you buy one, I'm going to throw in the other one just on me as a bonus and as a thank you. Again, going back into self-care, one of the other things we will get into is our traction device, which I have behind me. But I wanted to talk about a couple of other things that fall in that category. And one of the other ones we can do too is this eye massager. So this is where we can go full-blown self-care, chilling. Let me turn it on. This one also has a heated option, so I can, oh yeah. And it'll talk to you. You can even like prompt it for like make different noises. Like I can have ocean. Oh, that feels so good. It's like rubbing my temples right now. So I'm getting my back on. I'm getting my eye massager. This is heated as well. So I'm getting like a nice heated. This is so good. I feel like this is how I should meditate, honestly. I don't meditate like this in the mornings when I wake up and I meditate or I do my different like routines. I usually do it to either like the Abide app or just very particular like guided walkthroughs. But this is, I think, a new way to level up my whole entire experience. It feels so good. And again, the eye massager also has an automatic shut off timer. So if you fall asleep with this, you don't have to worry. It will turn off by itself. But this is, again, another example of like, if you don't want to have to do the work, there's machines and exercises and tools you can just buy, put it on, have it go for a timer. Self-care also fits in here as well. And again, another great gift idea and option as well. While I'm doing this though, I did want to highlight, let's see if I can like somewhat navigate. What I have behind me is a bunch of, I'm totally going to take this off, even though I'm tempted to keep it on. It's going to be hard for me to explain, see the comments, see the questions, anything like that. But again, that's, I think, another great tool to have. What I also have behind me is a bunch of Manscaped really hooked me up. And I think, so you may not think of like shaving and Manscaped or different types of like devices around that. And even other brands have hooked me up with self-care, but I'm going to just share my philosophy, my thought process with you. And I'm going to highlight a couple brands here. So we have the head shaver. If you guys can't tell, obviously I shave my head. So I'm going to cross compare. So the, I'm horrible at name. I call it the Lucy Try or Luke Try head shaver. I even use this sometimes on my face. It's contouring to your head, face. Like these will kind of push in and move. But I will compare it to, and again, it tells you how much battery you have left, all that good stuff right here. Got 24% right now. I've used it for my face. I've used it for my head. Charger, all that. It's like super simple, super accessible. I will compare it to the Hummingbird one. I actually prefer the Hummingbird, not only for head, but for face. And it's, I think it's a combination of the blades and the contour and the positioning of it. And because I do, usually if I'm shaving my head, I'm going to shave my face together. I don't shave every day. I usually shave like 2-3 times a week. I don't know why I'm telling you that specifically, but just to give you an idea of like where it fits in for me and how I like to use it. But if you see, just from a surface area perspective, the Hummingbird one has more blades. I find it's just that much more effective. Again, it still has the contour. I use it for both my head and my face. They're really meant for your head, but I use it for both. And I just find it's just both will get the job done. I'll be honest with you. But I prefer the Hummingbird one of the two, even though I use them both. Potentially, if I forget to charge one or the other, I have it as backup. Now, what I will say is compared to like just head and face shaving, my Manscaped set, like that's hands down the best. I use the beard trimmer the most. And I also have the 5.0, the 4.0. I have this one I even use, like, let's say first what I'll do is I'll trim it down to a 0.5 right here, kind of get it down. And sometimes I even just leave it at that after a couple of days, depending on how I like the look. But if I really want to bring it down to the skin, I will then go in and throw this on here. Again, I've never gotten cut, honestly, using this on my face, which I like to keep it that way. And it can definitely maybe like irritate the skin a little bit if you don't use the proper lotions or prepare your skin ahead of time, which I do recommend. But with the Luctri or even the Hummingbird, if I'm like pressing a little too hard, I definitely like nicked my face before. Not my head, but for sure my face. And then they also sent me a nice little, like, you have your little like accessory pack with all the different holding stations, chargers, attachments for all the different ones, all this fun stuff in one place. They also gave me a nice like travel bag that I have in the kitchen. Or I'm sorry, in the bathroom. And this is, again, another one that I keep, but I keep their actual manual blade in here that I took apart just because I wanted to like clean it, but I figured I'll just show you guys so you can kind of see. Now, I'm not putting the razor on, but you would just basically put the blade on here and then screw it in, and you get a really, really nice tight shave. And the reason I bring this up for self-care is like being able to just, again, taking the time for ourselves, especially for my dads out there, my busy professionals. I'm sure you know that it can be tempting to just like move on to the next thing, right? And like go from there. But like taking a little bit of time, it feels good, man, at least from my experience. Well, I did totally miss a part. So you just, you have the blade right in here. I'm going to be mindful. They also sent a nice little like pack here that I have. I'm going to be mindful to not cut my fingers as I position it. And again, the only thing I will say with this is like taking a little bit more time. It feels really good. Like going to a barber, like I like getting a hot towel shave. Like this feels like a barber experience at home because you get the nice, or at least I like to get the nice like shaving cream and do it up. Where if I'm using the electric shavers, I don't really take the same approach. I'll put on something really quick, but I don't take the same time. And that tends to be like my more frequent use. This is like, again, Sundays, self-care, take my time, using the nice shaver, and then just being able to get in there nice and fine. And whatever I might miss, I clean up with this. So I keep this ready to go. I still use the electric, and I'll use that to get it tight. But if I miss a spot, which tends to happen, I can go in and clean it up with that as well. And again, what I will highlight for their both 4.0 and 5.0 that I have in the set here as well is those things are awesome for being able to go in the shower. You can take those in the shower. You can get them wet. You don't have to worry about it. They have lights on it. It's like such a super solid setup. And I really am grateful to Manscaped for hooking me up. And this was over a year ago. And they're still like running super smooth. Don't have any issues. This is like quality stuff. And I keep in that travel bag. But again, the Hummingbird served me well. And speaking of just like kind of like the manscaping style, I got one more thing over here, and I'll show you. I love this brand just for the name, the Happy Nuts. I think it says it all in the name. Let me see where my other one went. But I have both the powder and the lotion here, and I'm kind of reaching around to grab for it because, yeah, the Comfort Powder Spray, talc and aluminum free. So you just got good quality ingredients, like especially doing jujitsu, like working out. I'm a very sweaty person. I find this to be very helpful. And the cool thing is, check this out. I'm going to show you like the use of it. The powder controls on with per spray. Instead of like dumping it out, you just get a nice little spray. So you have a controllable amount that you may or may not want to use. Bam, get your LeBron on and just tap those parts of your body up that you want to take care of. And then I had my secondary one, but I don't know where it fell off to. But this is just, again, another layer of like self-care. So like, oh, here it is. And being able to use, again, the same thing. This one is, again, less of the single individual spray. This is what I was talking about, the dumping out, which you may want. Honestly, I prefer the spray, so I keep more control. But I'm getting it all over my shirt now, just so you guys can kind of see. It does smell really good and refreshing. So again, getting into like, I honestly really didn't use this before I go to jiu-jitsu and stuff. You don't want to be that stinky dude, especially when you're getting close to other people, especially in the sweatiest areas of your body. You don't want to be that person. So I find this helpful even before I do jiu-jitsu. Let's see how our timing's at. I want to see like when this is shutting off. I want to pay attention to when the actual that can massage your turns off. Another thing when it comes to, again, like self-care is like the Habibi. They sent me this discovery set of different scents. I've gone through 5 of them. 1, 2, 3. No, I went through 4 of the 7 so far. And what I have left is the spiced, what is this? Spiced desert? No, spiced bergamot and orris. And what was the other one? This is actually, I went to sage and citrus oud. I don't even know what that is, but yeah, I took this to Mexico with me. I took it a bunch of places. It's a great travel set and also a great way to sample different things. If you're not sure on what scent you like, this is a pretty solid move and a great gift giving idea, I think, as well. So that's, again, another, to me, like when you come to self-care, I'm going to take this off because I'm pretty good with that, even though it's probably still got, I'm going to leave this running and see the timer when it shuts off on its own. And I'll keep you guys posted on the time on that. But again, these are another areas and layers of self-care. Another aspect. Hold on, let me get a sip of tea here. Oh, I get to see her, my daughter Hope. So let's say I made a mess. Speaking of jujitsu or stuff like this, or travel sets going to the gym, this natural deodorizing body wipes is clutch, man. Because like at my jujitsu gym, this is the first time I've ever gone to a jujitsu gym and I've consistently trained there or stayed there for a long time that they don't have a shower on site. I have to shower when I get home or when I go to the next place, the next gym or wherever I'm at. And that's a great recipe for potential like skin infections, ringworm, things like that. They do a really good job of keeping the gym clean and being mindful, and they have defense wipes and all that. But one that I like, again, I think defense wipes are great too, but what I compare them to is the Alcala deodorizing body wipe. So this is like, again, bamboo derived products, aloe vera, chamomile, green tea, tea tree extract. These are all like antimicrobial, antibacterial, but not heavy on the chemicals. But yeah, I think it's a great option, honestly. And they have an entire pack. I throw some in my gym bag. I throw some in my backpack. Even not only if I'm going to the gym or going to jiu-jitsu, but like even, let's say I'm like just in a situation where I didn't plan on needing to change, or I got like dirty with the kids or whatever. I use stuff like this to just help. It's so clutch in so many different ways. I can't tell you. It's been like a game changer and a lifesaver for me in different situations. So like just having this ready to go in your backpack, gym bag, if you're living a fit like kind of life, this is a great another self-care kind of category I put in. I think it's a really worthwhile thing. Another piece I want to talk about where I think this falls into a category in and of itself when it comes to self-care is also like what you're putting into your body, your nutrition, your supplementation, your just overall approach to it. And one of the things I like to be mindful of is my evening routine. So part of self-care is getting a good night's sleep. Part of my self-care is also clearing my mind. I'm going to get into like some of the creative stuff and some of the journaling tools that I use as well. But being able to, what I really wanted to highlight about this is the magnesium. Magnesium is not only great for muscle relaxation, but also getting ready for bed in a more calm, relaxive way without going to melatonin. Melatonin is something you can use that I have used, but I don't like to use it consistently. Magnesium is one I use every single day. And this is literally one that just came in from, I want to say it's Nature, a drop of nature that they just sent me because it not only has the magnesium that I like, but also has vitamin D3 and K2, which I'm running out of from another brand. So I like to try different brands as well. And I have some favorites here, but literally going to take it with you guys. This is what I think 2. And this is about a month's worth. I wasn't expecting this like flavored. Mixed berry, okay. So this will have, 2 milliliters. So it shows you 1 milliliter. So I'll just do 2 full things of it. And you get your serving, and it's about 30 servings, so a month's worth per bottle, and gives the whole breakdown. Here's the big thing. I look for almost any supplement company. I have third-party websites I like to use to cross-reference if there's any flags, if there's been any lawsuits, reports of stuff not being in there that they don't list, or not being in there that they listed. And this one comes up clean. So I was excited to try it. And I'm constantly trying. There's so many brands that come out, especially now in all the different online shops. So I wanted to check it. From a flavor perspective, it's on point. I just want to look. I didn't realize it was flavored. So I want to look at what's giving it that flavor. So it says natural flavoring, vegetable. Okay, so there we go. Organic, natural flavoring, which is okay. I'd like to know exactly what the source of that is. But that's better than having some synthetic things. Distilled water, vegetable, glycerin, and organic and natural flavoring, which is giving that flavor. Oh, this is actually out of Brooklyn. I didn't realize this was manufactured and distributed straight out of Brooklyn. What's up, Brooklyn? Okay, that makes me even like Drops of Nature even more and want to work with them more because it's based not only out of the U.S., but out of my hometown, Brooklyn, in New York. And I really spent most of my like childhood and life in Long Island. I still think of myself as like a Brooklyn kid at heart. So anyways, props to them for that. And again, to me, when it comes to like the self-care stuff, putting the stuff into your body that's going to help, again, a restorative night's sleep, being able to put quality nutrients, maybe bridge the gap. 88 to 92% of Americans, from a study I saw, I think it was 2016, were vitamin D deficient. So being able to supplement with that, if you're not going to be able to get outside, especially this time of year, that can be really impactful as well. And that's another layer of the self-care piece. So, okay, I even talked about when it comes to even the food, I was saying this. Here's the one thing I will say, like things like legendaries, this isn't something I would do all the time, because while the ratios aren't horrible, it's 230 calories, 22 grams of protein. That's really on point. 9 grams of fiber, less than a gram of sugar. It does have erythritol as a sweetener. Let's go into the other ingredients, and I'll just highlight, again, I eat this, but again, it has like xanthan gum, psyllium husk, not the end of the world. Sucralose, okay, it's not horrible, but there was like some process-based things that, like, you know, it's not the greatest. I wouldn't want to eat it every single day. But when you have a craving, I like to think about it this way. If you want to do quick, you get it from the store. But I've really been experimenting with doing home-based recipes. We make home-based peanut butter cups that Carrie and I have been tweaking and playing with, that I actually was curious if you guys would be interested, since we do, again, I'll plug our cookbooks, our overall healthy lifestyle 28-day reset books on Kindle, absolutely free until tomorrow's the last day they're going to be free. Then they're going back up to the minimum price we can list them for. And also the printed editions are as cheap as Amazon will let us before they go back to their regular price. And everywhere else, we try to put it as cheap as we can make it. I'm thinking about putting out a dessert kind of recipe book as well, because while I think this is great, these packages, and having like high protein peanut butter cups and things like that where you can just grab and go, tear and bring it with you, Legendary is a brand that I think is really good. I've had their Pop Tarts before, or their pastry tarts, whatever you want to call them. They're really solid as well. The one thing I will say is learning how to make it at home and controlling all the ingredients, to me, is just that much better. And then also I have a couple other things in here, like these Yum Earth Pops. These are, I think, no added sugar, right, Carrie? Or they're organic.
I think it's sweetened with fruit.
Yeah, sweetened with fruit, no added sugars to it. That's like another example of, again, when it comes to nutrition, I don't like to use food as a reward mechanism, but self-care even. Like, take care of yourself, what you're putting into your body with good quality stuff. When I say that's a very vague statement, the goal is as little added ingredients as possible. So if you want to have something like fruit, have fruit, grapes, apples, whatever. That's still sweet, it's delicious. But I like peanut butter, I like chocolate, I'll eat those things. So I make peanut butter cups now at home. Every once in a while, I'll still go to the store, I'll get Reese's, I'll still get like a pastry. But I also like being able to have the legendary pastries that are higher in protein, still getting somewhat of that sweet tooth satisfied, but being able to, like, again, learning how to do it yourself, I think becomes impactful. So that's like another thing with the self-care. Another thing I want to talk about, and I'm going to bring it home with my traction device, is being able to do some creative stuff for self-care too. One of the things that's helpful for the mind, I'm going to talk about this tomorrow as well. And also this turned off the neck massager. It automatically stopped. So I want to say that's what, 20, 25 minutes, maybe 30, but it did power down, or at least like stop moving, I should say. It was still on, but it stopped as far as the massagers. But when it comes to the creative stuff, and I'm going to talk about this tomorrow during my Ask Me Anything live stream. I got one more live stream tomorrow for this like Black Friday to Cyber Monday. And we're going to do Ask Me Anything so you guys can pop in, ask more questions, or questions that have been coming in throughout the week. Like, what is this like KT tape thing in the background? What do I use it for? That kind of stuff. Talking about ADHD, and as an ADHD coach, as someone that actually was a part of a research study that was just published and presented at the International Conference on ADHD in Kansas City this last month, talking about tools. And one of the interesting things is creative tools like this, using a Chocola set. And it doesn't have to be this bad. I just like Chocola. They've sent me a bunch of different stuff. They're acrylic, markers, chalk. And one of the things that I'll pair this with, I also do, at the end of the day, I find helpful for daily self-care is going through two things. I have a planner that's also ADHD friendly, and then I have a journal. So I'm going to give you an example of like today's prompt. You do a morning reflection and you do an evening reflection. So my morning reflection, or the question for the day, was, am I in rigorous training against false impressions? Meaning assumptions, false impressions, and misunderstandings. This happens all the time, not only in my relationships, like I'm pointing over where Carrie is, because Carrie and I will talk about this all the time. It happens so much in a lot of my interactions with the kids. Honestly, less in coaching. This is what's interesting. In coaching, I feel like it happens the least because I'm very intentional and I wear a particular hat. But in my day-to-day, where I kind of take that hat off, it's where it can show up the most. So I like these different prompts, different days. It talks about different themes. And then I take, in the morning time, I journal about it for a hot minute. 2 minutes, and even in the evening, I'm going to reflect on it. So am I in rigorous training against false impressions? What I wrote, I'm going to transparently say every day. But some days feel more progressive than others. Going slow tends to help here. So that was like what I prompted in the morning. Now my evening saying, today was another day making investments with this training. Rigorous. More attention. I go back to my one word, relentless. So here's what I wrote. I wrote, today was another day making investments with this training, with the rigorous training against false impressions. However, rigorous to me invites more intention and intensity. But I go back to my one word, relentless, meaning my one word for this year is being relentless, being able to have a pace that I can maintain throughout the entire year. That was my word for this entire year. Because what I can find for myself, and I wonder if you guys relate to this, especially now I realize this, some of this has to do with ADHD and being someone that has ADHD, and now it only being on my radar in the last like 10 years for myself, is going through these like cyclical patterns of like high intensity, super high motivations, and then drops where you don't really feel like doing it and you back off. I want to have a relentless pace this year where when I go through that goes back to my journal of like, this takes 100-day blocks. Instead of saying, okay, I'm going to have 100 perfect days and then I'm going to take 100 days off and repeat. I'm going to have 365 days in the year. My goal is to have 300 of those 365 days being able to be outstanding days. And if I have a couple of gaps in between, that's okay. Or what does it look like if I have a relentless pace of outstanding weeks every single week for the entire year, which I've actually been able to create. This is now going on almost an entire year of every single week being an outstanding week. And what I mean by an outstanding week, the way we score it in this book, which I really appreciate, this growth journal and journey by Wilkie planners. I don't even have this in the carousel. It's just something I have on my channel is, yeah, Hope Bear. They give you points. They gamify it where you get points for different tasks and you add up your points at the end of the day. And if you've had 30 points or more for this journal, you had an outstanding day. And then if you add that up at the end of the week, if you have 231 points or more, you had an outstanding week. Now I've had some days where I haven't had an outstanding day. I've maybe had like 15 points or 20 points, but I, at the end of the week, have had an outstanding week every single week for the entire year so far. And the goal is to finish the entire year strong that way, to have that relentless pace. And that's what kind of shows up for me. So yeah, we got did that, boom. Yeah, I'm doing this right now. Boom, did that. Here we go. Did my workout. Now this is where I get to write also what I'm grateful for too. And I like these evening prompts as another layer of reflection. What am I grateful for? I'm genuinely grateful actually that our books have been getting such a positive response, that our 28-day resets in the top 100 of its categories, our slow cookers in the top 30, our barbecue Kindle editions in number 3 in 2 different spots. The goal is to make number 1 for all of these. So I'd love your support if you guys can share it. Go download it on Kindle if you haven't already gotten it. What's going on, Carrie? You're like looking at me like.
No, I was just thinking I'm grateful you and Hope had a good day.
Yeah, and I'm grateful I had a great day with Hope too. So grateful day.
She's in a great mood.
Hope. Kindle editions. And then, so the second is today I learned. So I think I always appreciate the reflections, and it feels like, hey, what strengths and traits did I show? Like mindfulness, resilience, growth mindset, love, self-control, peace, forgiveness, leadership, curiosity, like all these things you can check off and acknowledge. I think these are really powerful reflections. Again, I do this on a daily basis, right, Homer? I feel you, girl. It's exciting, right? So that's something. So today I learned just like, this is actually interesting. So I had a buddy of mine pop in to a live stream on TikTok I did before, and he DM'd me afterwards. I was like, I DM'd him just like, hey dude, it's good to see you. Shout out to you, Jeff. And we were talking about, he's like, yo, dude, I gotta say, I'm really proud of you. And this dude, so it made me almost want to cry. Carrie. I didn't tell you this yet.
No.
So I'm just going to tell you guys very vulnerably. It's maybe like almost want to cry. So I'm like really hard on myself. This is another part of, I think, combination of ADHD and also just my own stuff of like, I feel like I'm a constant failure because I'm not perfect, right? Like no one's ever perfect. But it's like, okay, I want to have these certain things. Like I wanted to be able to sell a certain amount of band sets, for example, or I wanted to be able to sell a certain amount of books, or I wanted to be able to do a certain amount of sponsors or whatever. And if I didn't have that exact number, I'm a failure. And if I even hit that number, it's like, well, I was supposed to hit that number. That's something I've been very actively working on. And my buddy just hit me up. He's like, hey, dude, you're like, I'm really proud of you because you're literally the only dude I know growing up. Because I grew up with this dude. Like from shout out to like Deer Park in New York and like Long Island. He's like, you're the only dude I knew that like literally said what he was going to do and did it, like made it happen, you know? And like, which is ironic because he actually did the same stuff. Like he's actually, I told him, I'm like, dude, I'm proud of you. Like from an entrepreneur, he's a great dad, great coach. He's a great entrepreneur. He's a great man. He's like all these things. He sacrificed early, he had a kid very young. He hustled really hard. So I'm really proud of him too. I'm proud of you, Jeff. And my point of saying all this is today I learned like how much I've created in my life and how much I have to be proud of. Like, and I forget that sometimes. So I'm like, yeah, like I literally wanted to be a pro athlete since the time I was 5 and I made that happen. I wanted to be a business owner since the time I was 5. I made that happen. I wanted to be a Ninja Turtle since the time I was 5. I feel like I made that happen by being a martial artist and like doing the stuff that I do.
And you want to be a dad.
Yeah. And yeah, like being a dad, like obvious. But to me, like, again, so see, I say that's obvious because it's like, obviously I could be a dad, but that's not true. Yeah. Because not everyone actually is blessed enough to be able to have kids. So I get to remind myself that because actually a good friend of ours, I learned can't like that we haven't even talked about. I won't tell you who, but just like it reminds me of that. So I'm get to proud. So I'm like saying I'm making it all happen. I get to be proud. Like it's the process. As cheesy as it is, it's like the process. Going back to the process, like the process. Like the other thing, I don't think I even told you, Carrie. Like Blue Cross Blue Shield got back to us and said that we can be an out-of-network provider for them. They didn't approve it for in-network because I think some things with Dr. Eric being in another state. But so having that, like, hey, also if you have Blue Cross Blue Shield, you have United Healthcare, we can actually now work with your insurance companies to do our coaching and cover even our bands and our books and HSA and FSA programs. That's another thing. We also like got approved to contract with the city of Asheville, which like, again, I get to do more follow-up on that, but it's like I take for granted, like these are things I've set out to do and I make them happen. I'm like, yeah, of course I make that happen. But it's because to me, it hasn't generated millions of dollars yet. It hasn't generated like $100,000 in a contract or whatever the thing is. I'm like,
even then when it does, it's still going to be another story.
Yeah.
It's not $1 billion or whatever it is.
Yeah. Or it's like, hey, well, this is like more work or it's, I don't know, whatever. Like I'm really fortunate. Like, you know, I celebrate going to jiu-jitsu this week. I have great people, martial artists. Like one of the first dudes I ever got to see from day one turned pro this last month and won and he's a world champion. Shout out to Deuce Carter and even other fighters I get to work with. So my point is this self-care reflection. And then the other last thing I will highlight from this that Carrie, actually you got that I wanted to use is the markers. And a thing with like self-care time, sometimes it's helpful to just sit in silence, read, journal, reflect, but also to be creative, to color. Like this is actually my way of being creative with you guys. I'm creating content right now. I feel like I'm being creative. I can share passions, but even just being able to like go in and like color and do this, it's actually like quite nice.
Yeah, I have a nice set of colored pencils too. That
and doing like colored pencils. I like using the markers. I also just like the smell, if I'm being honest. Yeah. Like this is something that's interesting for like for my ADHD peeps. If you want to get back into the present, think about what you can smell, what you can touch, what you can taste, what you can see, and what you can hear. Use your 5 senses to bring you into the moment. It brings you into the present. So that's pretty much it. It's all like the self-care stuff, like using things like this, the creative. It's all self-care. It's all things to check different boxes, being social, being able to be creative, being able to have these different outlets and expressions. Now, the other part to self-care is I get to clean up all of the stuff behind me. And the last thing that reminded me, I'm looking behind me. There's a couple things. I'm going to go into this traction, but we're also going to talk about, I have this pillow that's in the console. This is an amazing, nice, just like cozy pillow. And I wanted to talk about, I have Bedshore sent me their duvet comforter that's on underneath back here. That's like just, I've been working with Bedshore for so long. They're just so cozy. I love it, even in the summertime. And then also having a weighted blanket. This is something for not only ADHD people, but definitely for ADHD. It's really helpful from what's called deep sensory sensation or stimulation, but even for everybody else that can be helpful. That's why I like weighted vests, or I like weighted blankets. This can be really helpful. And when it goes back to self-care, I like to think about getting the best quality sleep. So having a good, comfortable pillow, nice comforter, be able to have nice weighted blankets. If you have a hard time sleeping, try those things out. Like looking at your sleep environment, looking at the things you do leading up to sleep. Like, hey, am I having too much screen time? Am I having too stimulating conversations? Or that's why I don't like, I told you this, but I don't like working out too late at night. Or maybe I didn't tell you this, because
Yeah,
it's like,
I'm the same.
it makes it hard. And I used to, like, for years, for fighting especially, because my training camps, we fight at night. So I would want to have my training sessions and practice at night.
Yeah.
And then I have to wake up at 5 a.m. and go run, and then go work a shift 7 to 3, and then train my clients, then do training after that, and weight training and doing all that stuff. Or when I lived in Thailand, we trained at 7 a.m. and we trained at 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. because we wanted to miss the heat during the day.
Yeah.
But again, that's like, it can be stimulating. It's hard to fall asleep. So looking at the things you can control before sleep, when you eat, what you're drinking, what you're consuming, the types of conversations, the type of stuff you're consuming. And I think leveling up your sleep quality, and also using, again, supplements like magnesium that can help relax you, having nice like products and routines from like our powders, our like shaving routines, even like Manscaped, having these massages, the foam rollers,
rituals.
Really, it's all just rituals and routines.
Self-care rituals, bedtime rituals, shaving rituals.
And then speaking of which, one of the things I'm actually going to do, because I used this the other night while I was watching TV. This is our traction device. I'm going to finish with this. We're going to bring it home from here, y'all, and that's how we're going to wrap it up. I want to leave this out because I actually had this in the other room. We used to have it under the couch in the other one because it's not that space consuming, but I'm like, man, this feels really good. I haven't used it in a while. I usually use it like way more frequently, especially when it was in my office. But when I didn't have an office anymore, I kind of wanted to be more efficient with space. And I just want to, again, show and highlight to you guys how like simple it is to use, but also just how clutch. It's got a nice, comfortable little padding. I'm going to take a little sip of my tea. I'm going to butt scoot. This is my jujitsu skills. I don't know if you guys know about that. Carrie knows because she's done a little bit of jujitsu. Get that butt scooting action going. And then what I will highlight really quickly, by the way, speaking of cleaning and stuff, like even using products like this, like the Quick and Bright, like all-purpose cleaner, cleaning up your space. There's something like quite cathartic. I personally don't enjoy. I'll be honest with you guys. Like,
for me.
I don't leverage that, but I know for our brain chemistry, I've seen fMRIs and PET scans and things that show and light up and the impact it can have. And I've seen success with others in ADHD space. What I enjoy more actually is like taking care of my own skin and like using this. So this is like a turmeric cleansing pad. Using stuff like this, I've seen to be more impactful for me personally lately, and using lotion and things like that. But we're going to set up this traction device, speaking of the last little piece of self-care. And then even having something like this, like a speaker, like our Soundcore Motion Boom to play relaxing music, different frequencies. Like I think it's 528 hertz frequency music can be like quite impactful and relaxing. And that's something eventually I'll get to write a PhD thesis on, is like neurofeedback and brain feedback. If you like record your brain in a particular state and then you play it back when it's in another state, it can help your brain realign with that state. So for example, if I'm recording my brain in a sleep state and I'm really amped up, I'm like, my adrenaline's pumping, right? And I'm having a hard time falling asleep, I can play back that state and be able to help my brain transition. I just realized I actually have this comfort spot. This thing is actually, I know the kids really like this. This was sitting outside. Before I go into the traction, I did want to talk about this. It's just nice to kind of like post up and chill. And then it has these little arms on the side that you can put like maybe even a remote in or different things that you don't want to lose. But I know the kids really enjoy this, but it's even for adults. This is just a nice thing. Getting on the floor if you don't want to be on the couch, to even do stretching, to like lean up against, or just to relax. That's another like self-care kind of bonus. And then lastly, I'm just jumping all around because I want to touch everything. I think this is the first live stream where I literally have touched every single product and hit every single thing. We're going to drop into this neck traction. Of course, Velcro it. We'll tighten this up a little bit. And then the
You can't really see it on this one. You're gonna have to come a little squishy.
which way? This way?
Or I'll just angle it a little.
And so here's what I will say for this. It has a colored zone. So all it's doing is pulling on my neck. Right? So I'm going to get into the yellow zone. That's the sweet spot for me. It's about 30 pounds of pressure, 30, 35. What I will say, the one thing they could improve upon is, check this out. I'm not going to stay here for long. I just want to show you this. When you push the red button, it like slingshots it down, like completely release it instead of a steady pressured release. That's the only thing I feel like I could give them feedback on that they can improve. But other than that, like super easy to use, super simple and intuitive and straightforward. It's just like this spring-loaded release is a little sketch. Like it's okay, you're not gonna get hurt. It's just like it just immediately lets all the pressure out. Where I'd rather see almost a pressurized air release, kind of like where it lets it out. But we're just gonna chill here for like literally a minute. I'm gonna set a timer for a minute. And if you guys are watching along with me and you want to calm it down, we're gonna just go from our what I feel like still in a fight or flight state because I get amped up when I live stream and I get all pumped and all that. We're just gonna slow our breathing down. So what I'm focusing on is I'm inhaling for anywhere from 2 to 4 seconds. I'm gonna exhale for twice as long. Okay, similar to 4-7-8 breathing, which would be you inhale for 4 seconds. You hold your breath for 7. Then you exhale for 8. And then you repeat. Hope Bear's doing her best to try to. So again, that's 4-7-8 breathing. Very similar effects to box breathing. It, from my understanding, does pretty much the same thing from the sympathetic state transitioning to parasympathetic, or fight or flight system transitioning to rest and digest. And hey, what's going on? Thanks for dropping by, saying hey, good to see you. But what I will say is it's just a different approach. I like the 4-7-8. The box breathing is you, let's say, inhale for 2 seconds. You hold it for 2 seconds. You then exhale for 2 seconds, and then you hold again before you breathe in. The only thing I don't necessarily love about that is if you're kind of uncertain, it can leave a little bit of like vagueness or ambiguousness and ambiguity to what you should be doing. 4-7-8 is very direct. Like, okay, 4 seconds, 7 seconds, 8 seconds. So you don't have to take, but even in box breathing, start with 2 seconds, 2, 2, 2, 2, and then build from there. So you take some of the ambiguity, the uncertainty out of it. But that being said, that's pretty much, I think, everything. I want to see, does anyone have any questions before we jump out? Again, tomorrow, I'm going to be doing our, thank you for the follow, by the way, Barry. I just saw that. I'm going to be doing my final like Black Friday to Cyber Monday live stream, which is going to be an Ask Me Anything themed live stream tomorrow, 12:05 Eastern Standard Time. I basically have a gap between my calls. It's going to be about 45 minutes. Also, again, if you haven't already, download, they're absolutely free on Kindle, our 28-day reset, our LOF slow cooker recipe pack, and our barbecue recipe pack, all absolutely free. But after tomorrow, they're going to be back to their normal prices. And again, my goal, very transparently, is to have each one of them be number 1 in their category for the free Kindle edition. We're at number 3 for the barbecue. We're at number, I think, 98 and 70 for the 28-day reset. We're at like 30 and something else for the slow cooker. I think we could totally do it with y'all's support. So let's get there. And if not, I also appreciate just getting even one of them in the top 5. Last year, I know I had the 28-day reset was in the top 10. So I appreciate the support on that side of it, y'all. And I'm going to let Carrie, I guess, put Baby Hope to sleep. And then I'm going to also clean all of this up and put it away, which is the part you guys don't see in the live stream. You just see all the fun, right? But again, it's also having a clean space, which, you know, it's part of the fun. But I appreciate you guys. Thanks for hanging out. And maybe, I don't know, do you guys want to hang out even while I clean this up? I might even just leave it running while I put all this away. The only thing I'm trying to be mindful of is like, this is easy to put away. This is one I'll show you. Look how simple this is. Like, just slide it in. It's just knowing where do we want all this stuff to live. And that's the real issue, is like some of this stuff's going to go to my storage unit. Some of it's going to stay here in the house. Let's figure out where we want everything to live. Because that's the life of a, I guess, content creator combined with the other stuff that I do, is the products I make content on. Where do we want all this stuff to live? Well, we're going to package this stuff up. And like the razors and all that stuff. You know what I realized, actually? I have all the only things I didn't show was my like nighttime oral hygiene stuff. Like I have my toothbrush, my toothpaste, and our UV cleaner for it. It's in the bathroom. I think I'm just going to leave it at that, though. Okay, we're not going to go in there, but I'll leave this out. I'm going to put this right under here because I want to keep that accessible. I'm going to package up my leg compression air massager. We're going to put it back in the box that I have with all my other self-care. And then the eye massager, that's going to stay out. That's on the shelf. I appreciate y'all. Right, Hope Bear? Can I give you kisses? Right, Hope Bear. All right, I'll sleep. Oh, the foam roller down. Foam roller down. All right, I'm going to wrap it up, y'all. See you guys later. Wrap this up. Yeah, y'all. We're going to wrap it up over here.